Meanwhile, drama series Fukushima about Japan's 2011 nuclear disaster. In episode 3, Japan holds its breath after a massive explosion rocks the stricken power plant. While staff scramble to identify its cause, the manager of the plant gambles on an unorthodox plan to prevent further explosions. Join us after the news as Fukushima continues.
BBC News with Danielle Yao-Yetsa. People in North Korea have told the BBC food is so scarce their neighbours have starved to death. Exclusive interviews gathered inside the world's most isolated state suggest the situation is the worst it has been since the 1990s. In a series of interviews, 3 people inside the country described beggars dying in the streets and no grain in some markets. The Greek government has declared 3 days of mourning to mark the deaths of at least 79 migrants. They drowned when their boat, travelling from Libya and heading towards Italy, capsized and sank in one of the deepest parts of the Mediterranean. Kosovo has banned vehicles with Serbian registration plates from entering its territory. The move marks a further escalation in tensions between the neighbouring countries, which was sparked by a dispute over municipal elections. A leading Guatemalan journalist who often exposed government corruption has been jailed for 6 years on charges of money laundering. Jose Zamora said the case against him had been politically motivated. Ukraine says it's been making slow but steady progress in its counter-offensive against Russia, but troops have encountered tough resistance. The Federal Reserve has left US interest rates unchanged at just over 5%. It came after encouraging figures on inflation. The UN Secretary-General says he's horrified by the increasing violence in the Sudanese region of Darfur. Local officials have accused the Rapid Support Forces and its allies of carrying out the killings. More than a dozen companies from Saudi Arabia have bought over 2 million tons of carbon credits at an auction in Kenya. They're for projects in Africa such as tree planting. And Barbara Kingsolver has become the first writer to win the Women's Prize for Fiction for a second time. She received the award for Demon Copperhead, which retells the story of David Copperfield set in the Appalachian Mountains. BBC News.
You're listening to the BBC World Service. This is episode 3 of our drama series, Fukushima.
Previously on Fukushima.
TEPCO is a private company, Prime Minister. They said there was no radioactive leak. You really think they'd have the first idea if there was? The Nuclear Preparedness Act is a work of supreme genius. Only if you're in 1 emergency, not 3 power grids going down or helicopters fishing babies out of the sea. I just watched a boat go clean through someone's living room.
My men need sleep, not to be rolling out the red carpets for visiting dignitaries.
I understand. So you have power?
No. With the alternative power sources, we've managed to get some readings.
What alternative sources?
Car batteries.
You're running this plant on car batteries. TEPCO are stalling on venting the reactors to release pressure.
We could do it manually. Prepare suicide teams to open the vents.
Suicide teams? That's what you call them?
No, that's what they are.
Fukushima, Episode 3.
It's a simple question, Matsui-san. Does TEPCO know if it was the core or the building which exploded?
We don't know at this time, Prime Minister.
What are the radiation readings?
Nobody knows, sir.
I'm quite sure somebody does, just not you. I have to hear about this on the television.
I'm sorry, sir.
Tell President Shirin-san I want him in my office in 20 minutes with every speck of information you have.
The President and the Chairman are still not.
Matsuri, damaging the reactors? Reusing the reactors? Is anyone over at TEPCO looking at anything other than the balance sheet?
Prime Minister, our assessment is that the solvent deposit could set in motion a chain reaction.
You are fundamentally failing to grasp the gravity of this situation, Matsuri. Let me explain to you the chain reaction I see. We lose the Daiichi plant, then the Daini plant, then Tokai. Then we lose Tokyo, then Honshu, then Japan as we know it.
I'm not sure how many times Prime Minister Khan returned to the nuclear emergency headquarters after that. You will have to check. He relocated to his office.
Did he call TEPCO about the cables Yoshida-san was talking about?
Oh, yes. He waited 2 hours for a reply.
Why did it take so long?
Things got very confusing very quickly. It was hard to know what information was supposed to go where.
Did anything go right?
Well, we are sitting here, Akiko-san, 10 kilometers from the Daiichi plant. 10 years later, a bottle of sake on the table. Empty bottle.
No, I really mustn't.
You're not still driving to Iwaki, Akiko-san. There is a spare room. Oh, you do as you please, but again.
The TEPCO president didn't kill himself.
Shimizu? Of course he didn't. He's playing golf as we speak, probably. I don't know where the rumor came from. I also heard someone found him curled up in a ball in a restaurant cubicle, sobbing like a baby. I doubt that's true either.
Where were they at that time?
Chairman Katsumata was on a publicity trip in China with labor bosses. He flew back when the airports reopened. But Shimizu? Would you like a comic interlude? I think you could use one.
Okay.
As I understand it, Shimizu was on holiday in Nara, but nobody could get in touch with him. When they finally did, all transportation to Tokyo had been stopped. So they told him he had a TEPCO helicopter waiting for him in Nagoya. It took hours to get there, and it was evening when he arrived. He climbed on board, but there was an argument. It turns out his pilot didn't have a license to fly at night, so poor Shimizu disembarked with his bags. Somehow, they found a military aircraft for him, which took off about midnight, but the Ministry of Defense hadn't pre-approved it. So, on approach to Tokyo, his plane was told to turn round and divert to Nagoya.
Oh, no.
They managed to find him a hotel room, and in the morning, bright and early, he took his helicopter and flew to Tokyo. It's a 12-kilometer trip from a heliport to TEPCO headquarters downtown. But he sat in the traffic for nearly 3 hours and finally got there almost a day after the earthquake. Come to think of it, perhaps the crying in the toilet story is true.
I mean, everyone said they weren't there, as if they'd run away. But they got stuck, just like everyone else. You can't really blame them for not knowing what was going to happen.
People see what they want to see.
Do you think Prime Minister Khan wanted to see incompetence?
Wanted to? Oh, no. But I wouldn't be too surprised if he thought, in a moment of weakness, that this was the perfect opportunity to bring in sweeping reform. He was quite gifted at capitalizing on a scandal to make a name for himself. When he was elected in 2010, Prime Minister Khan really wanted to change Japan. He was a relatively young man, no doubt inspired by what had happened in the United States with Obama only a year or so before. And yes, perhaps the rage he felt for these old institutions made him want to see incompetence. But whether you wanted to see it or not, there was plenty. The lack of top management placed everybody in positions they were not familiar with. We were just acting for the cameras, acting for each other. The first few press conferences were woeful spectacle, humiliating.
Didn't someone from TEPCO get fired or something for saying the word meltdown, or is that fake news?
He was supposed to say an overheating event. He wasn't fired, just relieved of press duties. Remember what I said about Naoto Kan being an existential threat? He was. We knew if there was the slightest hint that we were at fault, it would spell doom for the future. And by doom, of course, I mean reform. It took 2 hours to respond to Kan about Yoshida's cables because we had a meeting on how to respond. That was my work, relations strategy. So there you have it, Akiko-san. This is where I enter the story.
I'm not judging you. If you think I am, I'm not. I don't judge.
Women, and your work is noble work, but that doesn't make you counselors, I'm afraid. That is not what you do.
What do you think I do? What do you think I do when Mrs. Ueda tells me her son has died and asks if I can sit with her? What I do, Suto-san, is I sit with her and I say I'm listening. Because nobody else is. Who else is going to sit there? TEPCO? The disaster compensation application form is 60 pages long and comes with a 125-page explanatory booklet. Is that relation strategy? Is that reframing complex data into a more consumable product?
Mrs. Ueda, who lives down the road, her son is dead.
Yes. His name was Akio. He was 22. His father died in the tsunami. They moved to Yokohama with family.
Peygamberimiz Cenab-ı Ahmed-i Mahmud Muhammed Mustafa Ali evlad-ı Resul-ü Müşteba imdad-ı ruhaniyetine bir cümle alem-i İslam'ın sıhhat-ı selametine
Nuestra compañera de trabajo, estoy aprendiendo mucho trabajando con ella, nos estamos llevando muy bien, hay mucha pasión. También mucho acercamiento físico teatral, o sea que es una experiencia.
Everything about what you need to ask God for. Asking God for help in all kinds of things. Asking God for direction in all kinds of things. Asking the Lord for this and that.
Sabiduría de Dios. A pesar que estamos en otros tiempos y en otros lugares, las palabras de Jesús siguen teniendo la misma relevancia que en el pasado, ya que los seres humanos seguimos...
Dear listeners, with this we conclude the English language service of Voice of Korea from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Voice of Korea presents its English language service for Europe between 15 and 16 hours UTC, between 18 and 19 hours UTC, between 21 and 22 hours UTC, and between 13 and 14 hours UTC, and 14,760 kHz, and 15,245 kHz. For North America, between 15 and 16 hours UTC, and between 13 and 14 hours UTC, or 9,435 kHz, or 11,710 kHz. And for Northeast Asia, between 4 and 5 hours UTC, and between 6 and 7 hours UTC, on 7,220 kHz, 9,445 kHz, and 9,730 kHz. Goodbye, this is Pyongyang.
you Panama Paella. Are you trying to get me in a Cuban restaurant? Why not you forget the rest of my when we our email skills to consider in the past, the businesses, and whether we have seen the cases, when we are required to consider the food, and the contrast to the rest of population, it will increase the